The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep at his right hand, and the goats at the left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, 'Come you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?' Then the king will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me.' Then he will say to those at his left hand, 'You that are accursed, depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not give me clothing. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me.' Then they also will answer, 'Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not take care of you?' Then he will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me.' And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life." The Gospel of the Lord. It doesn't take much to cut back our numbers. Try to keep things moving as quickly as possible today, not just to get you in and get you out, but in a certain sense, not to keep you inside any longer than necessary. On this last Sunday of the church year, we celebrate the feast of Christ the King. And our readings mention king a number of times, and they mention shepherd a number of times. And that's because the first king over a united Israel, King David, the one to whom a promise of a continual line of descendants was made, had been a shepherd when he was still a boy and when he was first brought into the royal palace. And from that time on, the Israelites always kept it in mind that a king also had to be a shepherd. And the greatest of kings whom we celebrate today also said of himself, "I am the good shepherd." And we hear in our gospel what a good shepherd does. cares and reaches out for those who in any way are disadvantaged, and that ultimately for us, our final judgment will depend on how well we have followed the example of the Good Shepherd and his teaching.